For more on all this, we are joined by former Secretary of State and the current U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry. Thank you so much, Mr. Secretary, for taking the time. Let's start with where the president just left off, talking about the climate crisis with the king. What can you tell us about that meeting, and were there any decisions about tackling the climate crisis?
Well, the meeting was not a decisional meeting. This was a briefing for the president and for King Charles. It was taking place because a whole group of investors and philanthropists and others who are deeply concerned about how to get more financing into the climate crisis to make the transition to clean energy. They all came together this morning at a different location, and we had a long meeting. And His Majesty and the President wanted to be briefed on what that discussion was and what we'd done.
And so, as the President now heads to Lithuania and the NATO summit tomorrow, we'll also discuss the climate aspects of this summit in a minute. But first, you just heard the President say now's not the time for Ukraine to join NATO. If not now, then when?
Well, I'm not. I'm the climate envoy at this point, and I'm not dealing with Ukraine except for the environmental damage in Ukraine, which we are taking stock of. But let me make this. This is a very important point. The climate crisis is growing by the day. You just saw and have reported on what happened in New York. All around the world, there are record-breaking days where the heat is greater than it's ever been before. This will be the hottest June and July. It'll be the hottest summer. It'll be the hottest year. And we all know that because the science is telling it to us and because Mother Earth is responding by telling us exactly what's going on. So we have to now summon more people to the table all around the world to invest in the new technologies, to begin to help nations that are not responsible for this crisis, who don't have power even, but who are deeply impacted by it. And we're discussing, and we reported to the President, and we briefed the President and His Majesty on the way trillions of dollars can begin to be deployed into the private sector to accelerate this transition so we are not putting greenhouse gas emissions up into the atmosphere to the detriment of every human being.
What's preventing those trillions of dollars from trickling into the solutions right now?
What's preventing it is, to some degree, fear, uncertainty about the marketplace. People who manage very significant amounts of money have a fiduciary responsibility, an obligation to the people they manage it for, not to lose the money, but to produce returns on that investment. Pension funds, many of them, are very careful about those investments in order to make certain they have the money to pay out to the pensioners who worked for that money all their lives. So there are tricky components of making sure that you have taken the risk away from these investments. And energy, which is what is all the climate crisis is all about. It's about energy. It's about how we fuel our homes, how we heat our homes, how we light our factories, how we drive and go from place to place. What's happening is the emissions from the burning of fossil fuels is not being captured. It goes up into the atmosphere, and it's warming the planet increasingly more and more dangerously. Yeah. So you either capture those emissions or you don't create them in the first place. That was the discussion this morning. And the discussion with these people who manage huge sums of money was, we want to help, we want to deploy the funding, but you've got to help us create the structure for which we can do that.
You've talked about how the climate crisis is a threat to all nations. So coming back to this NATO summit and the war in Ukraine, we've seen unbelievable devastation as this war passes the 500-day mark. There's been flooding in some areas, droughts in others. Of course, the worry with the nuclear plant. You've said this war is really exacerbating effects of climate change. Can you explain?
Well, it's in lots of parts of the world are exacerbating the problem right now. But when you have bombs going off and you have damage to septic tanks or to power centers, et cetera, you have an enormous release of greenhouse gas, of methane, of all of the family of greenhouse gases. And the result is it's adding to the problem. I'm not, believe me, that's the fight in Ukraine is a fight that we have to make, that the world has to make. The values at stake are enormously important to all of us. So I'm not suggesting by any fashion that this is not a fight we shouldn't be involved in, but I am saying that there are ancillary impacts as a result of it. And one of the largest is that with the loss of the gas that was coming into Europe from Russia, a lot of countries have had to either reopen coal or keep some other form of dirty fuel available to them just as an emergency to prevent the collapse of their economy. So it's been disruption, broad-based disruption, which has had a very broad impact.
Secretary John Kerry, really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights into the president's meeting there in the UK and the bigger issue facing all of us, and that is climate change. I appreciate it.